Hello, everybody! Live from the Xfinity Mobile Studio, you are watching the PHLY Eagles podcast on a Monday afternoon, presented by our friends at Bet365 and Ashley. And the day after the Eagles once again conquered the Kansas City Chiefs, this time on the road at Arrowhead. We're here to talk about it all. Bo Wulf, EJ Smith is back from Kansas City, flew in this morning, and boy, are his arms tired. And we've got Fran Duffy, who has been pouring over the X's and O's. We're going to get into all of it. We're going to dive deep into the state of the passing game. I know people are worried about it. We can acknowledge that this was a very impressive win and also that there seemed to be some things to work on. But let's start with you, EJ. How are you feeling? How's the body after the travel?
The body's good. You know, I didn't really think about it until you just asked me how it was going or how my body was feeling. I don't know if I've got tools in my body necessarily.
I'm always thinking about your body if you don't need to. Okay,
that makes one of us. I feel good though. I got almost 20,000 steps yesterday, and I even stretched in my hotel room. So yeah, we're feeling good. We're feeling really good.
All right, and Fran, how are you? How tough on the body is your Monday routine of just diving into those X's and O's?
Yeah, I got to watch my head when I dive head first in, but outside of that, it's no, it was good. I mean, the eating habits are not as good. Like it was like lunch on the run, like reheated a slice of pizza while walking the dog. I ate that there. But see, it's a vet move. It's get the hot piece of pizza for the walk. When I leave, put a bowl of soup in the microwave. And then when I get back from the walk, I grab the soup, bring that back upstairs. We're just trying to be as efficient as possible.
Interesting. Now, the soup, you're gonna have to really nuke that bad boy if it's gonna stay hot for later.
The walk with the dog is a pretty quick venture. So that's okay. I've only got a few minutes for that lunchtime walk.
Does anybody else feel like their microwave leaves them wanting? Like I feel like for a bowl of soup or like a big plate of reheated food, my microwave takes like way too long to heat that bad boy up. I feel like microwave technology has gotten worse.
See,
it certainly hasn't improved.
ours is an older microwave, but that thing it's pretty powerful.
When we go to the in-laws and she's got an old version 1 microwave, that thing you get 25 seconds. That thing has got you blistering. The one we've got, these namby-pamby liberal microwaves we've got now.
I knew this is where this was going.
It takes me 3 minutes just to get my coffee.
So you got to get the I can't pull it right now because it's plugged in. I have the coffee warmer at my desk, so I don't even microwave the coffee. It's just like I throw that thing on there and it's
warmer.
Tell me about the mug warmer. So it's you get the coffee and then it just sits on my desk and it keeps the mug warm. So I've got hot coffee all morning.
Oh,
I've got a coffee story for later in the show.
I wasn't familiar with this part of the game.
I'll text you. Yeah, I'll send you a
picture. Go ahead, EJ.
No, let's save this for later. It's a dramatic.
No, we're here now. We're
already here.
It's important that we drive away the people who are only here for Eagles content, and then we give the people who want to stick around the stuff that they really want.
About 15 minutes ago, probably about 20 minutes ago, I tried to make myself a cup of coffee. You guys know, like, I'm a little bit of a coffee snob. I make myself the latte, and I get the whole thing set up, and it looks good. And I went to go get some. I'm really like bougie about this, so I got some cocoa powder, and I was gonna like just put a little bit of cocoa powder on the top. And I opened the drawer in the cabinet, and like chocolate sauce that we have for our lattes falls out directly onto my cup of coffee. Coffee everywhere, all over like the cabinets underneath and everything. It's on the baseboard, it's on the rug, it's on the floor. It was such a mess. So
wait, rug in the kitchen?
Yeah, we have a washable rug. Okay. So the washable rug is now outside. I made sure to mop up the floors. I have a little bit of more cleaning to do, but I think I got the catastrophic stuff out of the way.
This is a classic. You can't do anything right after the road trip. You're back. Like, all you need, just give me this coffee, please. And you just it's a Newton's law situation. Just can't make it happen.
It made me kind of self-conscious going into the pod, if I'm going to be honest. It's like, am I going to be this much of a screw up for the rest of the day? So fingers crossed.
All right. Well, let's get a little business out of the way. I see we have a brand new member of the Supporters Club in the chat. That's very exciting. You too can join the Supporters Club, which gives you access to exclusive content, custom emojis you can do guys with Fran, all kinds of good stuff. Good way to support the show. Make sure that everybody is subscribing and commenting and liking the video below. And I will also say that, EJ, you shouldn't feel like a screw up because you had a very good piece out this morning on allphly.com, the second edition of the Early Bird. Fran, you contributed to that as well. I feel like appointment reading for any Eagles fan on Mondays now.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, Fran's stuff in there is like really, really valuable draft stuff. And then I just try to get people some stuff from the locker room that they wouldn't otherwise get. I led it with the passing game this time, trying to hear from some of the main characters in the Eagles offense. But yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. It's a labor of love. Definitely something that keeps you up at night, but it's fun to do.
A great Lane Johnson quote in there that people can enjoy. And I think we will talk
Colorful.
about that. All right. We are going to save Fran's, real in-depth thoughts on the state of the passing game. We're going to do that after the first break, but we got to start with the defense because we should start with the good. And let's start, Fran, with what you saw from Vic game plan wise, because I do think it is interesting. It was by percentage of dropbacks, the second most he has blitzed as the coordinator of the Eagles. But more importantly than that, it is by far the most effective he has been as a blitzer, as coordinator of the Eagles. We have talked about this in the past that, when he blitzes, they're not often that good. And the previous best, I think, EPA per dropback was 0.2 something, and this game was 0.6 something. By far their highest success rate, 75% when they did. Why do you think coming into this matchup, he felt that was going to be a positive development for the Eagles?
I mean, it could be just the idea of, we got to throw something different at them. And once they were effective at it, said, all right, we're gonna keep pushing that button. I mean, they were the fourth defense in the history of the next gen stats era. I mean, we're talking like 2016. So, it's a 10-year sample at this point. So fourth team in 10 plus years to not record a blitz one time in a game. This is in the Super Bowl in February. So to go from one extreme to the other, it was very much like the opposite style of game plan, what we saw from Vic Fangio yesterday compared to what they did just a few months ago. And so from that end of it, you have that, but then you also have the fact, all right, like maybe the pass rush wasn't quite what you were hoping it would be from a front four standpoint last week against Dallas. All right, we got to ratchet the heat up a little bit if we're going to try and get after Mahomes. But again, once it was proved to be effective, I think you kind of keep pushing that button until Kansas City had an answer for it.
I kind of like the idea that they did have some bespoke blitzes in place for the Super Bowl that they just didn't have to use, and they still had those. They could just pick them right back up. But I also think some of it, to me, is like, if you are a little bit worried about Mukuba being in the right place or Jahad Campbell picking up the right thing, like sending them forward. Now, Jahad Campbell was not too often used as a blitzer in this game. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but that's how it felt. But it's like it's a good use of those guys when you're not quite sure you can rely on them knowing where they're supposed to be 100% of the time.
Yeah, I agree, and it was interesting too because you had some man coverage. You said which there's more man coverage in this game than there was back in February as well. So just continue to kind of like mix and match pieces, mix and match schemes. We saw different personnel packages with dime and there were various nickels. So to me, it was a really fun game plan. I didn't pull like a bunch of screen grabs for today's episode from a like positive standpoint. We covered a lot of that in the post game show yesterday. So if you do want some breakdowns from some of those plays, I did cover that with you and with Jamie and with Les and Vinny last night. So saved a couple of like the interesting like breakdown from a like, all right, what happened on this play kind of situation here for the show. But it was a fun game to break down.
Okay, we will get to that shortly, but let's go sort of player by player and talk about the good before we get there. And by the way, if you do want to watch that video, great breakdown of Mukuba's day, you can catch that also as a VOD on the YouTube channel if you don't want to work your way through the whole post game show. But you texted EJ and I one thing that I thought was very interesting, and coming off of last week when you came here and your number one takeaway was this was the best game of Jordan Davis's career, you are continuing to be impressed by Jordan Davis, much more so than Tom Brady seemed to be yesterday.
Yeah, at least in terms of his game. Look, at the end of the day, it was another one of those games from Jordan Davis where, all right, like we're getting into the third quarter, fourth quarter, and I keep writing his name down. And it's just, it wasn't like he was a world beater. He didn't look like Dexter Lawrence yesterday. He didn't look like Aaron Donald yesterday. But in terms of, going back just a couple of months to when the Eagles, they picked up his option. It was like, oh, I don't know. Like you're kind of betting on him to be a better player than what he's been if he's going to be worth that money. he's been a better player so far through 2 games than what we have seen, and a more consistently good player at the point of attack, where in years previous, I think he's been kind of a flash player, a couple snaps here and there where you have to squint. And you're like, all right, like, yeah, here's a 3 or 4 play package of Jordan Davis looking good against the, insert team name here. 2 games in, I've been pretty impressed with what we've seen from Jordan Davis. I think he's just much more consistently impactful. We saw plays against the run yesterday against Kansas City, against, by the way, like a good interior offensive line. Once again, he's making plays against Creed Humphrey. He's making plays against Trey Smith, like against good players on the interior. And then he's not getting home for sacks of Patrick Mahomes, but he's disrupting pass lanes. We saw him get his hands on a couple of balls yesterday. So overall, again, impressed with what I saw from Jordan Davis.
Yeah, I heard from him after the game in the locker room. And really quick, the comment about if this being a contract year, he's up in not this offseason, but the next one, because the Eagles picked up his 5th-year option. So, but I heard from him after the locker room. Did you guys see what he had on first and foremost?
No.
He had on an Athens Rock Lobsters hockey jersey post game. Which got some of my former colleagues very excited because, the ice hockey connection there. But to the game, he said he has never had 2 PBUs.
Which former colleagues?
Olivia Reiner.
Okay, just because she used to cover hockey.
Yeah, I mean, and there's not that much. It's not that deep. Yeah.
You know what's funny is I think that team, Sheila and I played golf one time this summer. And the one time we played golf, we had a random third join us who let it be known to us that he was a minor league hockey player. And I think he played for that team.
You got to ask Jordan Davis about it.
That was one of the teams. I think he got traded. He was a goalie.
Yeah, I didn't get the sense that he's I didn't get the sense Jordan Davis is a huge Athens Rock Lobsters fan, but I mean, it's interesting.
Feels like the kind of thing where there are only so many things that fit you, and a hockey jersey is one of them.
Yeah, the sweater's got to be very comfortable after a game. All right, now I feel bad that I derailed our conversation about Jordan Davis's play. So yeah, he said that the conditioning aspect, playing in the heat, obviously he had the hamstring cramp, but he did say that this was a game where he could really feel the difference in his conditioning, really showing up. He said he's never had 2 PBUs in a game. He said that he really would like to intercept a pass in those situations. And I sort of joked with him, like, it's you and Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter's trying to pick off the spike, and you're trying to get an interception at the line there. Josh Sweat had one of those, so I guess it's not out of the realm of possibility. And then the other thing I found interesting, Fran, is I asked him pretty much exactly what you just mentioned. I said, like, can you think of a 2-game stretch where you've played this well in your career? And he was hesitant to go that far. He said, I don't know what it's going, when I get in the film room, I don't know what the corrections are going to be like, but I do. I think that this is like a really impressive stretch for him. And yeah, I think it is. It's encouraging because of what it says about, like, it should get easier for him as, they're not playing in these hot climates, or, just as the season wears on.
How about the return of Jalen Carter to that front, Fran? What kind of impact did Jalen Carter make?
Yeah, I thought that he had some really impressive moments, some good flash moments. He's going up against Creed Humphrey and against Trey Smith as well. We saw him win with quickness off the edge. We saw him get inside on a couple of run plays as well. I thought he held up pretty well at the point of attack. I do think that, and this goes for Davis as well, although Carter, if memory serves, I don't have the snap counts in front of me, did play more snaps than Jordan Davis did. I do think the 90-degree heat kind of got to those big guys a little bit. So there were certainly some plays going back where I'm like, all right, you could tell that he's kind of feeling it a little bit, where maybe the urgency, like off a block or something like that, isn't quite as profound. But I think overall it was a solid debut for Jalen Carter.
Who else deserves a pat on the back for their performance in this game?
Nice debut from DeVonta Smith, I thought. It's funny because there was a lot of the people in my mentions, like when we broke down the signing, and people in the chat, and they're like, oh, like, what is he against the run? He's not good against the run. He's not good against the run. I don't know. He looked pretty good against the run yesterday. Like he had he was in on 3 or 4 tackles at or behind the line of scrimmage. I thought that he was really violent going up against the rookie left tackle, Josh Simmons. I thought he had some good flashes there. So, we'll see if that holds up over the final 14 games in the regular season. But I think overall, I was pretty impressed with DeVonta Smith yesterday up front.
Now, you preached caution on the Adoree Jackson front with us last week. Seemed off the TV copy like he looked a little bit better in this game. Do you chalk that up to him getting better, Vic understanding him better, or just the Chiefs not having a very good group of wide receivers?
Yes. I think when you look at it's probably a confluence of factors there. I think that Jackson played better. I think that they are tinkering with lots of different coverages to kind of like shade safeties that way and kind of provide him a little bit of help in high leverage spots. I do think that the fact that he's going up against Tyquan Thornton and Hollywood Brown as opposed to CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, I think that certainly helps as well. So I think you mix all of it together, and Adoree Jackson was fine. So I think that's kind of what I expect from Adoree Jackson. I don't expect him to be a plus starter. I expect him to be replacement level throughout most of the year.
Hey, what did you make of the way they used Quinyon yesterday? Because early on, he was playing on the left side, and I thought that maybe, and he was going back and forth, I thought maybe he was following Hollywood Brown for some reason. But then as the game went on, it felt like he was just settled in on the right side. Did you notice anything there?
I didn't chart it. I did notice that he was kind of moving back and forth. So that's something that I'll probably go back and when I make a second run through on the tape tonight, because I usually will try and do one more pass through ones on Monday night, like after, if not Tuesday morning. So that might be something I keep an eye out for, but nothing that stood out to me on first blush.
Okay, how about those linebackers?
Yeah, I thought Baun was extremely active. They used, it was interesting. Vic was asked about like the rush versus coverage aspect. Oh, you used Baun, or you used Campbell as a rusher because Baun can do a little bit more of the backer stuff. In this game, like Baun was really, really active as a rusher. It happened in opening series, like a lot of A-gap rushes for Zack Baun. A lot of times where he's up on the line of scrimmage and was kind of used as kind of like as a mugger and an interior offensive lineman. So I thought that showed up a number of times. Campbell looked good in zone coverage. Like there wasn't like one standout, like, oh, look at him rob this, or take this throw away, but just very comfortable. His eyes, I thought, were in a good spot. So I think overall it was kind of like a ho-hum day for Jahad Campbell, but in a positive way. Like I thought that he looked pretty good patrolling the middle of the field.
All right, so overall, a very good defensive performance for the Eagles. There were a couple things to clean up. Let's get to some of those, Fran, and we can start with the Mahomes scramble touchdown, which you had told us after the game looked to you like maybe Jacorian Bennett, who was in for the injured Adoree Jackson, and then Jackson later came back. Maybe he needed to get off his block at that point. Once you saw the tape, what did it look like?
Yeah, it was. I think that I stand by that assertion from post game. Julia, if we want to go to Mahomes TD1, the Chiefs come out in the red zone, and it's an empty set. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, Jahad Campbell is actually matched up with the player down outside the number. So Bennett, who is in for Adoree Jackson at this moment, he is in the slot to the bottom of the screen. So lined up against Hollywood Brown on the right slot. If we go to the next shot, we'll see that Mahomes is now pressured by Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter gets the edge here and is going to pressure Mahomes. So Mahomes is going to roll to his right. Bennett is basically in the same spot that he was at the beginning of this play because Hollywood Brown basically went a few steps and then fell down. So Jacorian Bennett has got hands essentially on Hollywood Brown. Mahomes is getting ready to roll to his right, and Bennett should be there as a force player to make sure that he's hey, you know what, you've got help to your inside. Make sure that you don't lose the corner to Hollywood Brown here on this play. Hollywood Brown turns and he sees Mahomes start to break the pocket, and he says, all right, I'm going to do what I can to create some space for my quarterback. Julie, if you go to the next shot here, you can see Mahomes has broken the pocket, and down at the bottom of the screen, that's low post basketball. Hollywood Brown just basically boxing out Jacorian Bennett there and giving the seal for Mahomes to be able to get home for the touchdown. So, he didn't play a ton yesterday, Jacorian Bennett on defense. I think that's a play he would definitely like to have back. I'm assuming he's going to hear from that or hear from coaches about that here this week.
Back-to-back weeks when one of those corners not really wanting to smoke, it seems like. But we'll give him a chance. That's okay. How about a lot of discussion, and I think this is going to be kind of a polarizing one. The touchdown at the end of the game, which we talked about, and you were trying to sort of piece it together based on a TV copy. It looked to you like maybe that was Mukuba's responsibility. Do you have any more clarity after watching it? You're shaking your head.
No, I have no clarity whatsoever. This play is confounding to me. And I want to go into the reasons why. And this is one where I could sit here and watch it for 30 minutes and just roll it back. And I'm texting people, what do you think about this play? What do you think the coverage is? everybody's all over the board on it in terms of what the possibilities could be. So I'm very interested to hear from players and coaches as the week progresses. But let's really quickly, we'll go through it. And then EJ, I do want to ask you, like, if anyone talked about it after the game last night. So Julie, if you want to go TD 01, so TD clip 1, I've got 11 shots from this play. So, so basically what happens here, okay, is just before the snap, the Chiefs bring a receiver in motion from right to left, and that is going to make it a 4-by-1 formation. We got the back to the left, and you've got 3 receivers in a trips like bunch look. And you see that.
Wait a second, you're allowed to do that?
Oh, yeah, well, we can get into that later. But Cooper DeJean, he's alerting. He's like kind of like setting a call up for the defense, like, hey, like everybody get ready for this. But again, it's right before the snap, so it's a lot of communication that's got to happen here, and we'll see exactly how this plays out. Julia, if you go to the next shot, you can see that what we see from the Eagles at the bottom of the screen looks like some form of cover 4. It looks like some form of quarters, and the Eagles played a lot of quarters, the variations of quarters yesterday. Where it gets confusing, though, is, or I should say one of the areas where it gets confusing is on the next shot. When you look at the top of the screen, I'm not sure what the spacing is here in terms of like this rotation. That's Mukuba, the left circle. Adoree Jackson is in the right circle. Is it cover 3? Is it cover 2? It doesn't look like it's straight quarters. And that's kind of what I was wondering yesterday. It doesn't look, if it's cover 2, then you would say, all right, this is cover 6, a popular third down call from Fangio last year. But because Mukuba is getting so close to the line of scrimmage, like, I don't know if I necessarily feel comfortable saying that that's what technique he is playing here on this play. So, Julie, if you go to the next shot here, again, like the way that this play starts, it looks like just, all right, your basic like 2 high shell. You know, it looks like it's basically going to be quarters here. The question then becomes, and this is what was really interesting, and this is we know how much Dane likes to talk about the safety alignment and like the way that Reed Blankenship, he always plays to the boundary, right, and then the other safety always plays to the field. What you can see here on this play, the ball's on the right hash, which means the boundary is to the right side, the short side of the field. Mukuba is to the right side of the field. Blankenship is to the wide side of the field. Again, this is a great point from Dane. The only time they really did this where they flipped it, okay, where now Reed is playing to the wide side and Mukuba is playing to the short side. The only time they did this last year was when they had what was called a cover 3 buzz rotation, a version of cover 3. So you might be saying, like, Fran, what the hell is cover 3 buzz? So basically, cover 3 buzz is a form of cover 3 where we've got 3 high defenders, and there's all these different varieties. So, Julia, if you actually go to the next shot here, there's 3 different varieties of cover 3, okay? I know, we're getting like Charlie Davis.
This is it, baby.
This is the 6 stuff. So basically the 3 different versions of cover 3, cloud, sky, and buzz, it all is dictated by who is the force player underneath on the side of the rotation. And so that area that is circled there, if a corner is sitting in that spot, which in this play, like if Adoree Jackson is just going to kind of play there in the flat and Drew Mukuba is playing over the top, all right, well, now this is cover 3 cloud. C, it's the force player beginning with a C. That's cloud, cornerback. Okay, so if Mukuba were to drop down and play in that spot, he is the safety playing as that force player. That is cover 3 sky. If it is someone coming from the middle of the field buzzing out towards the sideline, usually a linebacker, and in NFL football of yesteryear, when you played with 3 linebackers all the time, that would be a buzz player, but often a nickel defender going out towards the sideline. That's buzz. That's the most common version of cover 3. Dude, guys, I have no idea. I don't. To me, this doesn't look like it's cover 3 buzz, which that's what Dana said. Like, hey, the only time they flipped the safeties this way is when they played buzz. This isn't cover 3 buzz, and maybe you would say it's cover 3 sky, but then cover 3 cloud. But then you go to the next shot, Julia. Adoree Jackson looks like he's blitzing on this play. He initially is like working upfield as if he's rushing against Travis Kelce. And then again, you have Mukuba being so close to the line of scrimmage. I'm like, all right, well, if he's blitzing, then Mukuba is responsible for Kelce. If Mukuba is responsible for Kelce, he shouldn't have eyes going back the other way. But then as the play progresses, Julie, if you go to the next shot, now Adoree Jackson, he's actually playing in coverage. He's running with Kelce down the seam. So all this to say, I have no idea what's happening at the top of the screen. Like I am not sure. Like it's some kind of a funky call, some kind of a funky rotation. Julie, if you go to the next shot, that brings us down to the bottom. And this is like the crux of the matter, right? It's like, all right, like if Mukuba and Adoree Jackson are handling the top of the screen and those guys are trying to figure out what's going on, then that means that Reed Blankenship, Quinyon Mitchell, and Cooper DeJean, they're going to be responsible here for these receivers at the bottom. And at the end of the day, like the Kansas City Chiefs made a really good call against this coverage down at the bottom, where you're going to have these three receivers off the late motion rather. Julie, if you go to the next shot, this is a really good concept to be able to attack quarters coverage, where you're going to have that in cut from the number 3 receiver. You're going to have the deep post from Tyquan Thornton, and you had essentially the wheel route. That was the route that came in motion at the last second. So Quinyon Mitchell hangs with that wheel route probably longer than he should have. And this was one where like I couldn't quite see what was holding him on the backside. And I just assumed like, oh, we didn't really see Quinyon make these kind of errors like yesterday. And that's why when we were going off the TV angle, I'm like, oh, like it just had to be Mukuba. Quinyon doesn't have busted coverages like this. But I think because of the late motion, and it kind of like threw things out of whack with the weird rotation, I think the Eagles just kind of got caught here on this play. Julie, if you go to one of the last shots here, you can see that Blankenship he's gonna go down on the Hollywood Brown, that in-breaking route. Quinyon Mitchell, he's got eyes on the post route, and he sees, oh man, like Blankenship's leaving the middle of the field. I've got to play catch up here because Reed is hanging with that, or Cooper rather is hanging with this wheel route. There's a ton of space given up. And Quinyon, if you go to the last shot, Quinyon does an outstanding. He covers a ton of ground.
It's unbelievable how much ground he covers.
Right?
Unbelievable range from Quinyon Mitchell on this play, and he nearly gets it on the ground. All this say, like, again, I have no idea what this coverage was. It was a really funky play. I'm interested to hear. I'm assuming Vic Fangio will be asked about it here this week in some way, shape, or form. EJ, did any of the players talk about this in the locker room yesterday?
So most of what the players said with recorders in their faces was that they just can't let it happen. An educated guess, I think you were on the right track with the corner blitz. I think it was quarters to the field on the other side. So again, you would probably know this better than me, but I feel like that probably puts this at the feet of Quinyon, needing to stick with Thornton more.
Got it. Yeah, and that's kind of where.
So Adore is coming forward because he is blitzing.
Yes, he was sent on a blitz. Yeah.
All right. So if he was blitzing, then Mukuba. So then Mukuba was correct with what he was doing, which means that now it just becomes like, all right, should Quinyon have run with the post? And it feels like yes, that was the case.
Interesting.
Uncharacteristic.
Yeah.
But look, they had these kind of issues in coverage early on last year. These guys, it's 2 new starters in the secondary. There's going to be a feeling out period there.
Okay, we got to take a break. We'll come back. We may get to one other play on defense. We haven't even started getting into the thing we really want to get into, so lots to come here on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Do not get caught getting fan fished. You don't want to be going over to the friend who says they're a big fan, and then they got lagging and buffering and switching apps between the games. What are we doing? No. If you call yourself a football fan, you just have got to have Xfinity. It is the ultimate sports destination. You can find the best games and your favorite teams all in one place. And the way that you watch, baby, it is next level. Sometimes you can even get 4 games going at once because why not? And you get Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K. So clear, it makes it feel like you are in the stadium. Next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multiview requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box.
Next, we have to tell you about the good people at Ford and their legendary F-Series. It's the best-selling truck in America for 48 years running. The F-150 blends work-ready toughness with modern-day tech and luxury, offering 6 powertrain options, including a hybrid and a fully electric Lightning model. Or you could go with a 3.5-liter Power Boost hybrid V6 with 430 horsepower and amazing towing capacity. Speaking of that towing capacity, it's best in class with a 14,000-pound limit depending on configuration. These trucks also come with the Pro Power on board, so you can turn your truck into a mobile generator, which is perfect for job sites or tailgates this football season. I owned an old truck when I was in college, and that thing rusted like crazy with these Pennsylvania winter roads, but that's why Ford has gone to a military-grade aluminum alloy body, which is tough, lightweight, and corrosion resistant. The F-150 offers plenty of creature comforts as well, from Ford Blue Cruise for hands-free highway driving on certain trims to max recline seats that offer nearly 180 degrees of recline, which is great for naps or breaks between road trips. You also get a 360-degree camera system, which is great for trailering, parking, and off-roading. The F-150 comes available in so many ways. You can get a regular cab, super cab, or super crew, and select a bed length that fits your needs. For more information, visit your local Ford store.
We'll now hear from our friends over at Omaha Steaks, because look, it's we're leaving the summer. Obviously, we're leaving like what everyone refers to as grilling season. But look, if you're getting a football season, you're getting a tailgate season. There's no better thing to throw on the grill when you're getting ready for a game than an Omaha steak. Or honestly, it's not even just steaks. It's all the other comfort meals that Omaha is able to provide. I will tell you, like, I've been doing a lot more in terms of like cooking, doing the grilling at home for the football weekends. We just finished week 2 in the NFL. We're week 3 weeks into college football now. I've been very active out on the grill, out in the smoker. And sometimes since it's so busy, looking for like date nights with Meg and saying like, all right, like when can we have like a nice meal together? We don't need to leave the house. You get the Omaha Steaks. You get the USDA certified tender steaks. You get juicy burgers, cozy and convenient comfort meals. Plus, you get the tailgating favorites. You can get wings. You can get the smash burgers. You can do everything right here at home. There's nothing better than that. And so I've really been able to take advantage of that over these last few weeks. And again, you get every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness, and it's hand cut by master butchers in America's heartland. Sent right to your door. You take advantage of that. You throw that on the grill, and you have a great dinner at home. Omaha Steaks has been America's original butcher since 1917. Get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Red Hot Sale event. And for an extra $35 off, use the promo code EAGLES at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with the promo code EAGLES at checkout. See site for details.
And since it's a Victory Monday, we should let you know there's a brand new piece of merch for sale on the PHLY site. And there's a sale going on, so you get an even bigger, a better deal. Look at that. That is what's maybe my favorite Eagles shirt we've ever had. And if you're listening on audio, it's like the 8-bit version of Jalen smoking the cigar, sitting with the Lombardi Trophy after the Super Bowl. And what is also good for the sickos is that not only is this a Jalen Hurts shirt, this is a Bo Wulf shirt, because I'm the one who took that video. Okay, I got those million views on the YouTube page. Okay, so for the real ones that when you're wearing this shirt, you're giving props to me.
Little known.
You're welcome.
It was your moment too.
It was my moment too. Fran, do you want to just go through the what happened on the other bust there when Patrick Mahomes overthrew Tyquan Thornton, and then we can get to the offense?
Yeah, that was shortly before that touchdown to Tyquan Thornton. Julia, it will be a near touchdown, near TD1. So this is only 3 screen grabs, so I didn't go as deep on this one. So I did you guys a solid here. Basically, this is called it's commonly known as like a Yankee concept here from the Chiefs. It's a 3-level stretch concept, good way to be able to attack zone coverage. You've got like a very deep corner route, and then you've got like a sail route from the number 2 receiver. You're basically trying to put stress on those zone defenders underneath. Now, what happens here on this play, Julia, if you go to the next shot, is that the Reed Blankenship is trying to close down on that sail route from the tight end, from Travis Kelce. Adoree Jackson is to that side of the field as well. And Adoree Jackson looks like he was actually trying to turn into a speed cut and turn out into that route as well. And those guys both ended up colliding. You can question whether, because Adoree hadn't quite turned it, so it looked like it would have been a busted coverage anyway. Either way, both guys kind of run into each other, and it leads to the receiver being wide open. If you go to the next shot, being wide open down the field. So both guys collide. I think at the end of the day, it would have, even if they didn't run into each other, I think Adoree was still going to come down on Travis Kelce's route, even though Zack Baun's getting great depth. You actually can see Zack Baun did an outstanding job of getting depth and trying to take this throw away as well. These are the kinds of things, again, with 2 new starters on the back end, those guys are really just getting used to each other in terms of their spatial awareness and it's making those calls mid-play.
Okay, let's get to what everybody's here for. The state of the offense. Now, they did what they needed to do. They won the game. We're not throwing anybody overboard here, and you see some of the stats there. Nice job, Julia. But given the offensive personnel they have, given that this was a much higher possession game than the first game against the Cowboys, it was not the most impressive performance. You got to give a lot of credit to Spags. They are playing a certain way, but let's settle in on the passing game right now, Fran. As you were going through it this morning, what were your main takeaways?
Yeah, I would say it's very constricted right now in terms of like it's not a ton down the field. Now they did call some plays that attacked down the field. It started on the very first snap. We'll get to that later, but it started on the very first play. They're going to attack down the field. They did run some double moves with DeVonta Smith later down the field. But it is still it's a lot of underneath stuff, right? And you mentioned rightfully so yesterday on the postgame show, like the screen game is better. So they're leaning into that. So they are hitting on some nice screens. But
the DeVonta one, I thought that could have gone all the way. It like Landon Dickerson, like AJ doesn't hold his block. And then Landon could pick off that guy, or he could go to the next guy, but he doesn't get anybody. Yes. They had the numbers there for that one to be an even bigger play.
Mailata was awesome on that play. So that was one that I think that could have gone for even more. I think from a conceptual standpoint, I mean, there are a few things. Right now, you're not seeing a lot of plays that are attacking the intermediate area, and that's where when you think of Ben Johnson, Detroit Lions last year, and you think of some of the honestly like Sean McVay and Shanahan, that's not bombs away offense. That's just that balls completed at 15 yards, at 18 yards, at 12 yards that go for 25 yards, right? There's just nothing attacking that area. Right now, you had a couple shot plays that I talked about. One that was a real shot play early on, the very first play of the game. A couple that were isolated, double moves that I mentioned from DeVonta. And then you had some slot fades. And that was it. There's not anything else that's attacking the other, the tight end sail, right? All right, where it's Dallas Goedert, running a sail route, attacking at 15, 17 yards, 18 yards down the field. There's no deep digs, right? There's nothing where it's all right, there's a chunk play. And so it's kind of feast or famine in terms of the way that the offense is structured right now through 2 games.
We got to remember, 2 games is a very small sample size,
yes.
And they've put these game plans in place. There's every expectation that they're going to change some of this stuff. You can now break these tendencies. They're going to be watching the same film that we're watching. We should preach some patience. That's fine. But, I mean, even things like week 1, we're talking about, it's really encouraging to see Jalen throw the ball over the middle of the field. He didn't even attempt to pass over the middle of the field in this game. And it didn't feel to me like they were attacked. It's not like he was turning things down. There weren't guys there. And to your point, Fran, it feels a little bit like layups and threes, and even the threes we're not attempting very often.
I was looking, and this will be something I'm going to put in. I'm going to write off the pass game for the article that's going to go up today or tonight. And one thing I was interested in is just the usage of AJ Brown. And all right, how often? And again, small sample, 2-game sample. He was injured in the summer, all that. You take that context and we'll put that in here. But I was just looking at some next-gen numbers with A.J. Brown and how often he ran deep routes down the field. In 2022, it was just under 16%. 2023, 17.5%. 2024, 14.5%. It's down to almost 10%, which is a pretty sizable chunk, a noticeable difference in terms of how often he's being used down the field. And then you look at what was the other one that I had here? Is average route depth, the lowest that it's been over the course of his career here in Philadelphia. So just I think that kind of paints the picture of all right, we're not attacking that next level of the defense on a more consistent basis. Now, again, it could very, very easily change. You do some stuff scouting, say, hey, we want to lean into this more, lean into that more, and now all of a sudden it looks a little bit different. But that's the way I'm viewing this pass game as we sit here after week 2.
Just by my eyes, I don't feel like he looks 100%. Do you guys?
I got a note from the locker room. I listened back to AJ this morning. He said that he was in the training room when Nick addressed the team in the post-game locker room. But there was an immediate follow-up, like, "Are you okay?" And he said, "I'm all right." So I don't know. I can see why you feel that way. And when you watch the tape, it just doesn't look totally right. Now, again,
except on the first play of the game.
Yeah, right. But that's what I mean. It's like, also, like, when you hear him talk, it doesn't seem like it just seems like there's a lot going on there right now. So it could be just the nature of, like, the frustration and floating through a game. But I don't know. I want to leave space for this possibility that he isn't 100%, because you're right. It just doesn't look like the AJ Brown we're used to seeing.
All right. Time for us to take our second break. And then on the other side, we're going to get into the grabbies. Fran's going to grab all what you need to know about the passing game.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, Bo.
Yeah,
we'll talk a little bit about the running game.
Let's workshop names for that.
That's right. The grabbies coming up right after this. Ashley's Labor Day sale is still going on, and you can shop now and pay later with 0% interest until 2030 only at Ashley. This Labor Day season at Ashley, the deals work harder than ever. For a limited time, take home the furniture you love now and pay over time with no interest financing until 2030. That's right. Style, comfort, and savings without the wait. But hurry, this offer won't last. Celebrate Labor Day the Ashley way. Shop today and enjoy no interest till 2030.
You know, I mentioned earlier that it's a little bit tough to make sure I'm, like, eating like a good lunch and a good breakfast on days after games, right? You're busy. I'm trying to get as much done as possible, get ready for the 2:00 show, get ready for, write this article. So one thing I was counting on was, like, I'll snack in the afternoon. What has become my favorite snack over these last few weeks as I'm sitting here at my desk are these Righteous Felon sticks, the meat sticks. And I was like, oh man, I am so looking forward to my fiery habanero. You get that spicy, like the slow burning, perfectly balanced. It's got a little bit of kick, but it's not going to completely knock you out where it's like, all right, I need to get something to drink right now. Guys, I'm all out of my fiery habanero. So luckily I've got some street taco. I've got the savory bar. I've got the savory. Oh, I'm in luck. I've got one more left. I got one more fiery habanero. So after the show, I'm going to be able to, I'll be able to enjoy this. But I'm telling you, no matter what flavor you're looking for, you've got the meat sticks, you've got like the packs of jerky, whatever you need from Righteous Felon. They've got you covered. They've been running that flavor racket for over a decade. And it all started right here in the Philadelphia area. You can grab 4 different flavors at righteousfelon.com and use the code PHLY20 to get 20% off your first order. Or you can hit the streets. They've got the jerky bags out at Wawa, wherever you shop. You have Giant, Royal Farms, thousands of independent stores across the country. Righteous Felon, high protein, bold flavor, no BS. I'm a fan of the fire habanero. You tell me what your favorite flavor is.
Next, we're going to talk about TrueMark Financial. September's here, football's back, school's in, and it's the perfect time to get your finances back in shape too. I've been checking in on my credit score lately, and let me tell you, if you're a member at TrueMark Financial Credit Union, you've already got a serious edge. They've got this free tool called Savvy Money right inside their online banking and mobile app. I use it myself. Seriously, it's like having your own financial coach in your pocket. You can check your credit score anytime without taking a hit, get tips on how to improve it, and even get alerts if anything changes. That's what I call playing smart defense with your money. So if you're already on Team TrueMark, fire up that app and check out Savvy Money today. And if you're not a member yet, what are you waiting for? Step up your financial goals. Swing by one of their 24 branches or visit truemark.com/PHLY to open an account.
And once again, I will tell you that Ashley's Labor Day sale is still going on, and now you can shop and pay less and pay later with 0% interest until 2030 only at Ashley. That's right. Style, comfort, and savings without the wait. But hurry, this offer won't last. Celebrate Labor Day season the Ashley way. Shop today and enjoy no interest until 2030. I see some interesting NFL news, guys. J.J. McCarthy, sprained ankle. Not going to play this week. Carson Wentz, next man up. And yet, J.J. McCarthy is still going to be named NFC Offensive Player of the Week next week.
I could see Carson actually looking good in that offense. I don't know.
thought the same thing. It was that week 18 last year in Kansas City. I was like, oh man, this could be it, and it was a bad performance.
But this one, he's going to have the training wheels on in a way. Like, I don't know. I think this is more of me speaking about my opinion of Kevin O'Connell more than it is Carson Wentz.
You think Kevin O'Connell's a better offensive mind than Andy Reid?
I think he's a more like quarterback, like in term. Like I think Andy Reid has an old school, like he puts a lot on the quarterback's plate, and I think Kevin O'Connell takes a lot off of a quarterback's plate.
Okay.
In a way where like a Carson Wentz type could like be a little bit have less agency, kind of save him from himself.
I think that's probably a good way to put it.
Yeah,
I have a bigger picture.
I like how you tried to back me into a corner here, though.
No, I think that's a nice nuanced difference. I think that makes sense to me. I have a bigger picture head coaching take I'll save for later.
Okay, I like that. I like the tease.
Okay. All right, Mr. Duffman, let's get into the Grabbies. Where do you want to start?
We have to not refer to them that way. First off,
the Grabbos.
Stop this before it gets rolling.
Oh no.
Friends grabs.
We can take a look at the next play. Julia, if you want to go to play 1.
The Grabby grabs, Julia says. That's much better.
Is it though?
All right, so first play of the game. The Eagles come out in a pistol formation, 12 personnel, 2 tight ends in the field. They bring A.J. Brown in motion from left to right. This looks like run. As Daniz also pointed out, our friend Daniz, the professor, said this is the second week in a row where they come out in 12 personnel and pistol, and they run play action, and they try to attack with the passing game, and then they come out in 12 personnel and pistol the rest of the game, and it's run. I do think that there's a little bit of a method to that madness. We can talk about it at a later date, but what they do here on this play, again, they're bringing A.J. Brown in motion from right to left. This is a called shot play. Julia, if you go to the next shot, they are basically running 2 routes directly at that safety. DeVonta Smith is going to cross the safety's face. A.J. Brown is going to go screaming up the seam inside the corner, outside the safety, and he is going to be open. Julia, if you go to the next shot, you see A.J. Brown raising his hands. He's like, oh, man, I didn't get targeted until the fourth quarter last week. I'm going to hit this for a 75-yard touchdown on the first play of the day, but the ball never goes his way. Why doesn't it go this way? So, Julia, if you go to the next shot, the Chiefs are sending a corner cat blitz here off the boundary side. So you're going to get a corner coming from Jalen Hurts' left. The Eagles' answer here is that you've got Grant Calcaterra over on that side. Julie, if you go to the next shot, you've got Grant Calcaterra on that side. You're also off the play fake, bringing Kylan Granson from the right side over to the left side. So one of these guys surely will be able to impact the blitzing corner on that side. Surely. If you go to the next shot here at the snap of the ball, you can see that Jalen is mid-play fake here. Grant Calcaterra a little bit late to recognize that the corner's or that the defender's coming.
He starts going at the defensive end first.
Yes, he's like kind of selling run, but that's one of those where it's almost like the running back in a play action fake, where if the running back has a pass pro responsibility, forget the fake, right? Like if they don't worry about the run fake. You have to make sure that you keep the quarterback clean. So I don't know if that's going to be the coaching point for Calcaterra today in the meeting room or not, but either way, he doesn't make the block. Kylan Granson does not make the block. And then we go to the next shot. We got the DB draped over Jalen Hurts' back. So now Jalen can't step in and try and make this throw. This would be the rhythm where he should be hitting the top of his drop and stepping in and delivering this throw at this exact moment. But instead, he's ducking through a sack. And then to make matters worse, if we go to the next shot, Jalen steps up and he's got poor ball security. Only one hand on the football. His thigh knocks the ball out of his grasp. He fumbles it. Thankfully, Calcaterra is able to jump on it and prevent the turnover there. But the Eagles go aggressive there, first play of the game, and are unable to come away with even a pass attempt down the field.
Listen, I know that you are going to be a little bit harsh on Grant Calcaterra in this game. The guy is an elite fumble recoverer.
That's a good point. Yes, I will give him that. That's probably his best trait.
Really saved the game for him if you want to make that argument.
Twice now. That's huge.
I do want to.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like this play.
It was a great call. Yep, great call.
But is it a great call if you were relying on these guys to block? I know Grant Calcaterra is not the world's best blocker. Grant Calcaterra is not going to turn into a good blocking tight end next week. So why are we still asking him to do these things?
I think this one is like a table stakes block. This is like you should be able to make that. I don't think they were asking much of those guys to be able to one of them to be able to impact that blitzer enough to keep him off Jalen Hurts at the top of his drop. Like that one, I am actually willing to forgive the ask there on that one. That is a pure execution move in my mind.
And I think it's important to like point this concept out because there were times in the game where it felt like the route concepts were wanting of some creativity or just some opportunity for Jalen Hurts to get the ball out of his hands and into, good situations. And this was a case where the route concepts, like they drew it up well. And it was really just the execution that was at fault. Cause I think most of the game, it felt like it was the opposite way.
Man, could you imagine if this game started with a 70-yard touchdown pass to AJ Brown? After last week, that would have been amazing.
It nearly happened.
Really close like that. Yeah, brutal. Okay, more to get into here on the Grabby Grabs, Fran. Quick game issues. Now, obviously, Spags blitzed at a very high rate in this game, higher than the Eagles have ever seen before, higher than Spags has done. I think it was over 50% of the dropbacks. And yet, despite the fact that the Eagles were not super, explosive on these plays, Jalen was getting the ball out quickly. But these were not like high EPA or high success rate plays. What did you see in the quick game?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into a conversation that we had a lot last year. And one thing that we know about the Eagles offense under Nick Sirianni with Jalen Hurts as the starter is that they are one of the leaders in the NFL and probably the leader. I'd have to look at what the numbers are after week 2, but the leaders in the NFL certainly over the last 4 years in 2-by-2 formations, 2 receivers to one side, 2 receivers to the other, throwing out of those looks, which that alone is not like the issue. The problem is that when you drop back and throw out of 2-by-2 consistently, there's only so many things that you can do out of 2-by-2. You got 2 receivers on that side. You're not coming up. You're not like reinventing the wheel in terms of like a concept standpoint, right? So you're going to get the same 2-man concepts pretty consistently. And so that can lead to a level of predictability, especially if you are a defense where, all right, we're going to run the same kind of coverages on 3rd down or on 1st down. So if they're going to play out a 2-by-2, there's only a couple concepts that can attack cover 2, or there's only a couple from a 2-by-2 set. And so again, that just leads to added predictability. And one example,
I started to, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
I was going through this because it was driving me nuts, and I started counting it. I counted, I believe 10 times where like in 11 personnel, where it's just, they line up in a 3-by-1 and some guy just has a very lazy motion just to get back into 2-by-2. It's not doing anything to the defense. It's just, we're opening here and now we're getting back into 2-by-2, back where we're comfortable. And it was just like, oh my gosh, again and again.
Well, and again, it can lead to a level of predictability, and so you just need everybody's got to be on their P's and Q's. Like if you're going to be predictable, like that, that's okay. And there is a positive to being predictable at times, because then it's like, all right, you're setting up the change up for later, right? Like if you're going to run a slant and a slant and a slant, and then you come back and you hit a sluggo in the 4th quarter for a 70-yard touchdown, like the predictability was a benefit. But you need to
and you should be able to execute when you are predicting. Like everybody should be able to do exactly what they need to do in those plays.
No question. And so let's go into smash, Julia. So number 1, and then again, the Chiefs. One of the more popular coverages in this game. They buzzed into a lot of different versions of cover 2, and I get why they did it. We talked about this. I remember going into, I believe, the Packers playoff game. It might have even been the Rams playoff game. It might have been both playoff games last year. But that was an issue that the Eagles' passing game really struggled with last year, was late rotation into cover 2 and Jalen just kind of figuring out where to go with the ball in those situations. And so that was what the Chiefs' weapon was here in this game. Like, all right, we're going to buzz into different versions of cover 2. Sometimes we're going to disguise it. Sometimes we're not going to. But you see it here where you've got 2 high safeties, 5 guys underneath. A lot of variety from down to down, but this is the first 3rd down of the game. Now, what the Eagles did often out of these sets, and if we go to Julia to the next shot, is if you're playing cover 2 out of a 2-by-2 set, nice job cutting on my side here on this one, you essentially got 3 over 2. So now again, everybody's got to be on point in terms of making sure that they are running crisp routes and the timing is right, the rhythm is right. If we go to the next shot, you can see that basically the concept that the Eagles ran a lot of here was what I call a smash, where you've got the in-breaker from A.J. Brown, like a quick slant, and then a corner route, basically at the sticks behind it, and that's going to be run by Grant Calcaterra here on this play. On the first edition of that, A.J. Brown catches this. He's tackled short of the sticks, and the Eagles have to punt. Or actually, the Eagles don't convert. It brings up 4th down, and that's the end of that series. Julie, if we go to the next one, you'll see that the Eagles, again, are in a 2-by-2 set. Now, they're running the smash at the bottom of the screen here. They ran another zone beater. It's kind of like a high-low read at the top of the screen. We're going to come back to that, but I just wanted to kind of set that up here early on, is that you've got the high-low at the top. They're running that smash down at the bottom. Julie, if you go to shot 5, then go to the next one. Here's the smash concept. The Chiefs, they've already seen it once. They've seen them run it a number of times already, like on film, and, they know that this is in their bag. They handle this perfectly. Trent McDuffie's going to pass off the slant route, the A.J. Brown route to the linebacker, Drew Tranquill. You see Tranquill circled. He's going to pick up A.J. And then if you go to the next shot, Trent McDuffie's going to drop back into the passing lane, and he matches the route perfectly. So basically, McDuffie passes off A.J., he drops off, and he takes away the sail route, and that's taken away. So now Jalen hits the top of his drop and go to the next shot. And the smash route at the bottom, completely handled. 3/2, they handled that fine. The high-low route at the top of the screen is completely taken away. And so now Jalen's got nowhere to go with the ball. He ends up dumping this off to his right-hand side. Saquon Barkley, he runs over Shamari Connor and nearly runs for 1st down. And so it's like, all right, like, why wasn't anything open? All right, well, they were in a 2-by-2 set. They ran this concept. It got taken away. That was a 2nd and 11. You go to later in the game.
And I wrote down this play specifically. As like, this was to me the perfect snapshot of the passing game, like all game long. It was the same thing. They motioned to 2-by-2. Yep. They run these predictable routes. 2 of them are basically run for them. So if he throws like any of 2 routes, it's going to get picked. And yet he does the right thing. The only option he has gets it to Saquon, and it's 6 yards on 2nd 11, which is not the worst outcome. He made the most of the situation. There were no answers there for him. Yeah,
exactly right. And that's the thing, is that like, if that happened like once or twice, it's all right. But we go to a third one. Let's go to real quick to the third play here. And this one was a 2nd and 12, I believe. It's the same exact thing, like same exact concept, left side and right side, same part of the field, similar down in distance. McDuffie passes off A.J. Brown to the linebacker. He sinks back and he takes away the corner out. They're running the same high-low concept at the top of the screen. Julie, if you go to the next shot, again, Jalen has nowhere to go with the ball. The guys at the bottom are occupied. There's defenders in the middle of the field. Like, in theory, he can hit that in-breaker, but it's taken away. All right, so it's all gone. The check down on this one was A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon was helping out in pass pro, so he's not quite available. And now you've got Jalen Hurts ends up gets hammered here for a sack. So now again, this is the one where Omar Norman Lott just kind of levels him. If you go to shot 10, Julia, so he ends up getting leveled here on this play. So, it wasn't the whole game wasn't just these quick game plays. I don't want to make it seem like, this is the number one problem, right? This is the number one issue. But this was an issue at times in this game where, all right, there was quick game rhythm. You're expecting the ball to come out fast, and that's not there. And the Chiefs did a good job of bottling that concept up.
Let me ask you
this.
You
also want to take shot 10, EJ? I'm sorry, before you get going. Feel free to do that at home, because otherwise you're going to have to join us in overtime. Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Fran. Do you think that the oversimplicity of the Eagles offense at times is a function more of the talent that they have being able to sort of, overshadow the fact that it's not elaborate concepts, and that they kind of lean on the simplicity of it and the repeatability of it because of that? Or do you think this is more of a function of this is a scheme preference that goes beyond just the talent advantage?
It's honestly, the same energy, the Dean Blandino, I'm done with the tush push guys. I'm almost done. I'm this conversation. It's just, I don't know. It's just tough. We talk ourselves in circles about it. Is it a Jalen Hurts preference? Is it a Nick Sirianni preference? Do they feel like it's mandatory? Do they have to play this way? Do they think they have to play this way? I don't think they have to play this way. Do they think they do? I don't know. it's one of those things that I don't know that we'll ever get like the full answer on, but it's the way they play. It's not prohibitive to them winning a championship, but like it's it's going to lead to some inconsistencies. It's going to lead to some volatility.
Yeah, it's just like you think about offenses across the NFL. You think about some of the wide receiver cores that are on successful teams, and you wonder what it would look like in this offense if you had average talent out there. If you put that Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver core on the Eagles and you just run these very, like, again, these elaborate, predictable route concepts, it's scary to think about what it would look like, and the fact that they have the talent can overshadow it at times, but it leaves you wanting for some of the stuff you see from every other team. You were talking about, the concept that ironically led to the Andrew Mukuba interception, where it's like, the shallow cross and then you called a return route, right? Yeah. From Travis Kelce, like even just like stuff like that. It's like, just like good concepts, stuff that you see every other time from almost every other offense in the NFL. It confounds me that we just don't see it with the Eagles offense.
I think the way that you say that, Fran, is very important, and it's, they can play this way and maybe still win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And we'll be hemming and hawing all the way there, and that's fine. It doesn't necessarily have to be this way.
It doesn't need to be this hard, right? Exactly.
but they're so talented that it could still be fine. And maybe there is something to, Nick Sirianni thinks that they are so much more talented than the other team that you are trying to get rid of variance, and you really are just trying to avoid turnover-worthy plays. And if we can just keep this game on our terms, we're going to win at the end. I could sort of get there. Obviously, I feel like you can also open things up a little bit because you have these guys. Like, I don't think that Jeffrey Lurie is happy that, the return on his investment he's getting from A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith through 2 weeks. But, they're 2-0. This was an awesome win. They continue to prove to be like the bullies in every game. They're tougher than everybody. I think Jalen has played better this season, but yeah, it's week 2. They got a long way to go. It's okay to also be frustrated, I think.
I listened to you on Anthony's show this morning, Bo, and I've been thinking about this all day. And I do think that like this avoid variance, especially early in the season, even in the latter part of the regular season, is this kind of like an NBA team where it's like you've got your regular season approach. You want to keep guys healthy. You want to kind of avoid, the catastrophic games. You want to avoid, putting yourself in bad positions with turnovers and everything like that. But that you've got that gear that you can go to that extra gear in the playoffs. And we saw this team do that last year. Now, is that good process? Is that necessarily is that the way you have to do it? I don't think so. But again, it is from what we saw last year, that kind of was the template, where the passing game did not look good until it was at the biggest stages in the biggest moments when it needed to show up. So I'm leaving space for that. And the other thing you said that I've seen around, this like the scars of 2023, you've seen people talk about that, sort of that the experience of 2023 informing the concern after 2 weeks of this season. And for me, the fundamental, like the reason I can't get there, the reason I can't really use 2023 as a template of concern for this year's team is it's just like, I feel like we're so far removed from a scenario where Jalen Hurts is vetoing a play call in the huddle, against the Seattle Seahawks to throw a deep shot to A.J. Brown that gets intercepted. Like everything about like that version of Jalen Hurts and this modern version of Jalen Hurts are so far apart. Like he swung the other way at this point. Like you would actually I would predict more aggressively that like he would actually like be willing to veto an aggressive play call to take a more measured approach. So I think the mentality of the quarterback is so different. Obviously Saquon's presence is a big difference when you compare those two teams. And then, I mean, you really can't overstate like the defense is a lot different than it was a couple of seasons ago. They're so much more fundamentally sound. So I understand the concern from 2023. It was a weird season. There were a lot of, victorious, what should have been celebratory locker rooms that had a lot of frustration, but I can't get there. I can't get there with the 2023 comparisons.
To me, the defense one is the one that like, I think that is a huge difference. Like I don't expect, barring injury, this defense to collapse in that way. But I think there is something to the scars of 23 in like this doesn't feel like a sustainable way that we can win. But boy, do we have that magic juju that allows us to get these red zone defensive turnovers every week. Like, at some point, that stuff comes back. Now, the flip side to that is, great, maybe the offense is going to be better, and we're not going to need to skate by on things like that. They're allowed to get better as the season goes on. But yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody is. It is funny that they won the Super Bowl last year, but 2023 is still like underneath the surface. But
don't you agree that like this is just a different version of like Jalen Hurts had 15 interceptions that year. He had 16 turnover worthy plays. He's got one this season. I don't know exactly which one it was. I'd imagine it was the fumble against the Chiefs. Like to me, it's just like it's a different version of like the turnovers are really what killed them that year. I mean, I know there were other things, but the turnovers and the fact that Jalen Hurts like was playing hero ball, was trying to take shots down the field, trying to force it. I don't know. I don't see him doing that this year. I mean, maybe if we're talking about this in week 10, the like Kevin Patullo experience is still not really unlocked, the downfield passing game. Maybe we're having a different conversation then, but after 2 games, I'm just like I said, I'm not there yet with the concern with like, this thing going off the rails offensively.
I also think the personality dynamics are worth following here. I mean, I don't know how long AJ Brown and DeVonta Smith are going to be, if they're 16-0 and they have a combined 400 receiving yards, obviously if they're 16-0, they'll be fine. But if they're 14-2, they might not be.
All this to say too that this is not just the scheme really let them down. Like as I mentioned, you had the shot play on the first play, but there were some double move opportunities for Jalen Hurts. That final drive of the second quarter, they ran like kind of like a stutter go with DeVonta Smith out of the slot. I don't know, we don't even necessarily need to show the screen grabs on it, but he's open the first time. And the blitz kind of threw Jalen off where they showed like it was going to be just a basic 4-man rush, and then they sent pressure. They basically disguised the pressure well. The blitz sped Jalen up, and then he ended up not throwing. He ended up running for a near first down. Like, all right, positive, but it could have been an explosive play down the field. And it wasn't even like an egregious turn down, but it's like, all right, like in rhythm, ideally you'd love Jalen to be able to cut that loose, and that's a shot at a big play. DeVonta one-on-one with a safety, Brian Cook. They come back to a few plays.
You want to give us that grabby grab?
Yeah, we can go through it. So real quick, Julia, that's double move 1. So I don't have an arrow for stutter go, so you're going to have to deal with the straight line here. But basically what you've got is DeVonta Smith in the slot to the left, and he's going to run the stutter go again against a safety. So this should be like, all right, this should be the opportunity here for the Eagles to kind of make this play. And again, if you look at the defensive line, there's no sign of a blitz here, right? It's 4-down structure. It looks pretty cut. There's the potential for the nickel blitz at the top, because you've got the safety kind of stacked over him a little bit, but you're not showing blitz before the snap. We go right after the snap with the next shot, Julian. You can see, all right, you've got 2 of those second-level defenders are now coming. A couple of the interior defensive linemen are now dropping out. So it's a disguised pressure look that speeds up Jalen Hurts. And if we go to the next shot, you can see the safety is in complete panic mode, and DeVonta Smith is bolting down the seam there. Jalen, by this point, is already jetted from the pocket. I do think he left a little bit early on this one, but he's decisive. He takes off. He scrambles. I'm sure this was a positive EPA play. He runs for a first down. It was a nice job by Jalen on this play from that end of it, but you'd probably still like the shot to be able to go down. Now, that leads you into the 2-minute warning. I'm sure they go to the sideline and you have that break, and they're like, hey, like, we had that double move on the left side. Let's come back to that. So literally 5 plays later, let's come back. Let's go to the next shot here, Julia. 5 plays later, they come back. DeVonta Smith's at the top of the screen here, and you can see that Kansas City, this time, it's a pressure look. You've got muggers up on the line of scrimmage, and it looks like they could be sending pressure. Let's keep it back in. Let's adjust protections. Same idea. Go to the next shot. It's going to be a double move. This time, though, Kansas City doesn't send pressure. It's just a 4-man rush with a spy. It's actually a 3-man rush with a spy, and it's cover 2-man. So it's aggressive man-to-man coverage underneath with 2 high safeties. But either way, even though it's an aggressive 2-man, you could see DeVonta Smith is beating the corner, and this double move is going to beat the safety. So if Jalen steps up into this is going to be there. And I think this is probably one, like, if my guess would be if you were to ask Jalen, like, which drop back do you wish like you could have back? I think this is the one where like, oh man, like this would have gone for a big play. He unfortunately does not pull the trigger here on this play, and he ends up throwing it across the field to AJ Brown, short of the sticks, where he gets tackled, like kind of going in reverse. They may have ruled it to like not even stop the clock. So that was that play there. Again, I got that would be one where I think like Jalen probably would have wanted that one back. There was one where he wanted the slot fade to the right, and he thought it was going to be one high, but they disguised it and they took it away, and they slid the safety over that way. So Jalen got fooled and had to go to the check down over to the other side. I like that he's not putting the ball in harm's way. To EJ's point, he's making good decisions with the ball for the most part. But I think that it's the bigger thing is there were some throws left on the field, some by execution, some by scheme, some by Jalen, saying like, oh, the blitz got to me and I don't want to throw it. They've got to be a little bit more detailed across the board.
Okay. Now we should also talk about the running game, because part of the difference here is, we're focused on the passing game because they're not getting explosives there. Whereas last year, those explosives were coming from the running game, and they're not coming there right now. And the one thing that I want to ask you about, Fran, is, we talked about it, and the first play of the game aside, with no Dallas Goedert leaning continually into these heavy packages, I just don't love it. And I do have some numbers here from True Media. So running plays this season, you take away the scrambles, you take away all of the tush pushes, okay? Out of 11 personnel, the Eagles have run the ball 14 times for a 57% success rate. Out of 12 and 13, they have run the ball 32 times for a 40% success rate. So they're like 32 of their 46 running plays this season have come out of heavy personnel, and they have not been successful. And maybe this is another one where, okay, we're showing this early and we're gonna change this tendency. And maybe against Spags, you think we have more people tight so that we can protect against the blitzes. I would actually kind of think of it the other way, whereas you would want to spread them out and make them come from further. But that's okay. They can change this stuff. But this is one where, like, eventually, like, the numbers are so overwhelming. Let's just run the ball out of 11, please.
Let me just say really quick, Fran, that even like me, the concussion uncle who loves the fullback and wants the heavy personnel packages, even I, from the press box, I'm like, why are they coming out in 12 in condensed sets? Like, this is like the one game where it feels like you wouldn't want to do that.
But you loved that Latu snap.
Oh, it was so good.
I mean, it was a great snap. It was a great snap.
I was very excited about it. Yeah.
It was very late in the game. Latu down in the red zone, low red zone, comes in and it blocks Omenahu and just runs his feet and it wasn't like the best block you've ever seen, but it was the best block we've seen from the Eagles tight end this season. Yeah,
I was about to say it stood in such stark contrast of what we've seen from the Eagles tight ends, and I'm like, you know what? Give me more of that guy. Like I want to see it. I want to see it.
Yeah, let's settle down. It's one play.
Do you have any thoughts on the run game, Fran?
There was one play where they had Calcaterra. It was out of 11 personnel. Calcaterra's the lone tight end. It was a Saquon Barkley 11-yard run in the third quarter, where he like bluffed like he was going to block the defensive end, and the defensive end's ready to block, and then he releases out like Jason Witten. They used to do that with Jason Witten at the Cowboys late in his career, before he started to fall off physically and wasn't the same blocker. And I'm like, yeah, like do more of that because him trying to block like. They're asking him to block Charles Omenahu. Like Charles Omenahu is a 285-pound defensive end. Like Grant Calcaterra is not making that block. There was a play where they came out in 12 and actually spread out, and they did that little flip play to Saquon Barkley. And even though like they came out in 12 and then they expanded the formation, you still need Grant Calcaterra to block Leo Chenal in space, and he didn't make the block in space. You know what I mean? Like he's just there's nothing you could do to say like, oh yeah, like he could block George Karlaftis on the backside. Karlaftis beat him across his face like 3 or 4 times in the game. Omenahu beat him once or twice. And it wasn't just Calcaterra, like Granson too. They're going to have to figure something out from that standpoint if they're going to get that run game going, running from those bigger personnel groupings.
It felt like the best way that they could utilize the tight ends in the run game was to motion them and then run away from them. Like just like try and completely take them out of the picture in the run game. Like a lot of weak side runs were their most productive ones.
All right. Any leftovers that you want to get off your chest, Fran? I thought
feel
the
like I've already said
Jalen
enough.
getting out. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I've already said enough about Grant Calcaterra, so I don't want to
we
like
have to see
I
it.
don't want to dig too
I want to
deep
see
here
the
on this
screen
one.
grab.
Well, no, this is
You did
actually
the work.
this is a different one. I'm going to write about this play, so we
Okay.
don't need to jump into the screen grabs on it. But there was the first
Which you
third
can only
down.
read if you are a diehard on PHLY.com.
That's right. So it was the final play of the first series. I believe it was 3rd and 9, and Jalen hits DeVonta Smith for a 6-yard completion, like well short of the sticks. On that play, they're showing pressure late in the pre-snap phase, and Calcaterra is lined up in the slot, and he's supposed to run this intermediate route, like a little sail route. And he's like looking back and forth between like Jalen and the blitzer, Jalen and the blitzer, Jalen and the blitzer. And because like I don't know if he was like calling out like, hey, watch this guy's coming or what, but because he got caught like looking back and forth, he was like a good second late off the ball. And since he was a second late off the ball, the spacing between and DeVonta Smith was non-existent. And so the safety that was lined up on that side, like they had 3 routes going at 2 defenders. They should have been able to be able to hit this, either DeVonta with a catch and run or Calcaterra past the sticks. But since he and Calcaterra were like at the same level, well, now Jalen couldn't make a throw to an open receiver, and DeVonta gets tackled for a 6-yard gain instead of a catch and run. And it's like those are the details where it's just like, yeah, like you've got to be nails, in the pass game.
EJ, how about you?
I think Fran hit most of it. Yeah, no, the last thing I had. Oh, I do have something important. The last thing. Speaking of one play.
Oh my gosh, you gotta stop doing this early in the week for EJ.
What do you mean? What do you mean I gotta stop doing this?
There's a whole day dedicated to Swooper.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I've won my 2nd consecutive Swooper, and I just gotta take a whiff.
Maybe.
What do you mean, maybe?
I'm just saying, we haven't even looked at the tape yet. That's a Thursday deal.
See, this is how I know. You guys are just trying to take me down. You're trying to pour cold water on the newbie winning Swooper 2 weeks in a row. Feels good.
I won
That's all I gotta
Swooper
say.
multiple weeks in a row last year, EJ, and lost. So let's not get too ahead of your. Let's not get too big for your britches. Number one.
Now I just gotta watch the tape and make sure that I don't make those mistakes.
I was gonna save this, but you know what? We're in overtime. I'm calling bullshit on you from last week, okay? Because early in the show, you're like, oh, like I think they could, we could see that maybe, people behind the scenes, whatever. And then you make that a Swooper.
And you go like 8 turkeys on it. Yeah.
There was a line.
It's funny because I didn't feel good about it.
There was a line that you crossed.
Know that this was a line.
He's using reporting. I mean, this is like a gambling scandal as far as I'm concerned.
Oh,
Pablo Torre is going to have an episode out about this next week.
This is the literal definition of sour grapes. Like, this is ridiculous, guys. I think, come on. Like, you're just... And for the record,
your locker room access to
even if you took that one out, I still would win.
Okay.
I think it might have been a tie.
How do you think that's going to play with Roger Goodell if you're Isaiah Rodgers?
Oh, I could care less. But no, I didn't feel as good about it because I mentioned it to Fred Johnson, and he played very coy. He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he was so convincing.
Oh, my God, he admitted it!
Yeah.
This was after Swooper. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I kind of said something to him last night. I was like, some of us watch practice, Fred. Some of us know. So.
All right, we have a super chat from Joe Rockhead who says, how does Doofus Dable get his wide receivers open all day, but our guys are completely covered?
I'll go check the film on that one.
Meanwhile, Shay says that his former high school classmate came down from the press box to meet DFOP's Jason, his brother, and myself. EJ, however, couldn't be bothered to make the trip downstairs to say hi to the comment folks.
Shay.
Wow.
No,
big, he'll mix it up with the guys in the locker room, but when it comes to the working man,
the chat's behind me. The chat's behind me.
What had happened was Zach did mention that he was meeting some sickos. And I was like, well, Zach, they want to meet you. Like, I don't know if they want to meet me. Like, they didn't ask me.
Zack Baun?
Yeah, sorry. The other ZB.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I didn't want to impose. But next time, Shay, I will be sure to meet you. I'll come down, say hello.
Next time.
I didn't want to feel like a third wheel. I didn't want to feel like I was kind of like crashing Zach's thing. That's all.
Zack Baun?
What did you call him? Back Zerman? I think that's a good workaround.
I don't know. Are you talking about our new GM? By the way, Shay did, instead of doing a super chat, he donated to our friends at Big Brothers Big Sisters. This is Giving Month for Big Brothers Big Sisters. You'll see the donate link there next to the video. A moment together can spark endless laughter as we celebrate Big Brothers Big Sisters month. All right. I guess we can close. I mean, I do listen. The best way to close this episode is to just pretend that the last 80 minutes were us being Chris Jones. Like, oh, but you didn't do this. Yeah, like, oh, yeah. Guess what? Jalen Hurts, we won the effing game. That's what matters, and that is true. They deserve to hold their head high on that. And I mean that thing from Jalen, that really was awesome. It's so cool, and it's such a good insight into him. And
it really is.
He seems very cool.
It's like, it's one thing to say it on the podium. It's another thing to say it like in the heat of like trash talking against Chris Jones, like when you don't actually think anybody's going to hear it. So yeah, I thought it was like, it reinforces like the stuff that he says up there.
One more super chat in Under the Wire from Fresh Prince, who says his frustration is looking at Tucker Kraft get over 100 yards and AJ and DeVonta barely have that combined.
It's going to be a point of frustration, and I get it. I get the frustration.
But they are talented enough, and Jalen Hurts has the right wiring to make sure that it doesn't always have to matter. Okay, that'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. Check out allphly.com for Fran's write-up of his thoughts on the offensive passing game. We will be back, you and I, tomorrow, EJ, at 2:00. And we keep on rolling with this thing every day at 2:00. Much more to come, including Swooper on Thursday, when you will be on trial for your crimes against the game.
2-0, baby.
Hey, we're going to go to the tape on that.
For Fran and EJ and Julia, we thank you for watching and listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.